Have you ever wondered if you're too old at 40 to manual your mountain bike? Well, I'm here to tell you that actually you are, but it's not for the reason why everyone else is saying. Now, let me clarify. The root issue of why anyone gets stuck on any kind of intermediate plateau, because again, manualing is an intermediate or an advanced skill, it's not because you don't know how to find the balance point. It's not because you don't know how to get behind the bike. And it's definitely not because you're too old, literally. It's actually because the way that the body moves at a different age is very different when you've sat down at a desk for more than 3 hours a day. And it's also super, super different when you spent many, many years doing other things that don't necessarily help you become a great mountain biker. So in this video, I'm gonna show you 3 things that you need to do. They're a little backwards, and they're the things that you need to do as an intermediate rider getting back into riding after many years, or someone who's maybe getting into mountain biking for the first time and maybe you've done some other sports. I'm gonna show you exactly what to do to be a great manual performer, even if you're 40, 50, 60, 70, and beyond. So let's dive in. Now, my name's David Davidson. I'm the co-founder of Mountain Bike Academy. I literally specialize in helping intermediate mountain bikers break through the intermediate skill plateau. What I wanted to talk with you about, number one, is the first thing everyone's gonna tell you with manuals is to help you find the balance point. It's not true. I did a full breakdown of how to actually do a manual in this video above right here. And now if you're 40, 50, 60 or above, the number one problem you're going to have is actually controlling the front wheel lift and getting the front wheel to come up to you without you pushing and pulling and losing your balance. And so what everyone else is gonna tell you is find the balance point. No, just absolutely no. What you need to do instead is you actually need to be able to control your core muscles first so that you can control the front of the bike. Now, there's this concept called the first mover muscle. It's literally a muscle inside of your body. It's called the transversus abdominis. And this muscle specifically gets trained to do nothing. I want to be very, very clear. The way that we move in the Western world calls for you to compensate with all the other muscles. This is why we have tight hip flexors. This is why we have tight lower backs. This is why we have knee problems. This is why we have poor hip mobility. It's because this muscle is untrained and we've been compensating for years and years. And again, this is a really big thing. So, look, I'm gonna tell you to train this muscle. One of the key things you can do is to do a horse stance hold. And the muscle actually goes around the body and it acts to stabilize the entire torso. So in order to manual, you're gonna need to be able to hold the upper body and the lower body a certain way and do it with ease. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to get off the bike and you need to train this muscle flat out. And by doing this 1 or 2 times, or even for a few weeks, you might not even notice much of a difference. However, it's worth it because manuals could take you years if you don't do this. They might take you months if you do this the right way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop off the bike. We're gonna do what's called a horse stance hold. All right, so we're gonna grab a bar, just like this one. You can grab a bar or this is an old broom handle, I just cut it. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start with your feet standing next to each other. Turn your toes out 1 time, then heel 2, 3, 4, 5. Then put your feet pointed forward. And this is beginner level, 5 steps. 7 is more advanced, anything more than that is super advanced. Then what you're gonna do is take the bar and place it on top right here, on top of the thighs without it rolling forward, and hold it for 1 minute. So the key with this exercise is that you need to be able to lengthen the spine using the core muscles. And because we're kind of in a, interesting position with our body, it forces you to actually support the torso using the core. And this is a good exercise to kind of feel the activation of some of the deeper core muscles and lengthen the spine. So what I'll say it very clearly, if you can't do that exercise that I just showed you, you're going to have a very hard time doing manuals. So if you can't do the exercise off the bike, you will not be able to call on your body to give you the balance you need to do a manual, period. So work on this. It's just one of those cool things you can do. Now, the second thing we need to do at 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and this is something that a lot of the riders in my programs work on, is you are gonna have to practice a lot, but we wanna practice using the right feeling. So the first thing I would recommend that you do is before we get on the bike, we're gonna go over and we're gonna find a pole just like this one. And you can do literally any pole, any handrail that you can find, and put your feet down like this as if you're riding and hang back onto that pull. Really what you want to do is feel a pull up here in your arms, and what this will do is it's going to emulate the feeling that you're going to need to get to when you're on the mountain bike. So the problem is that a lot of tutorials and things, they'll show you what the position is and they'll tell you all these tricks, but they never tell you what it actually feels like to achieve this skill. And look, if you don't know what it's like, then you're not going to trust your body to get there. So this way, you actually feel exactly what it feels like to hang off the back of the bike, which is what you want to do in a manual. So go find a pole, go work it, get in this position, feel it out. And this is what we're going to work towards in step number 3. All right, now that we've kind of felt what it feels like to be in a manual and in balance, what we're going to do is we're actually going to stand up tall on the bike. So grab your bike, run out the trails, put on a helmet, and find a nice flat area that you can practice in. So for manuals, again, a lot of the younger kids, what they're going to do is they're going to have a very easy time kind of pulling the bike up. They're used to moving faster. And so the big difference in someone who, maybe you've never done a manual before, or it's been a while since you've done a sprint, you just have to realize that your frame of reference of what fast is a lot slower than a lot of the younger kids. How do I know this? Because I'm 37 and I took some time off of riding when I had little kids, and life slowed me down. Surprise, I didn't sleep for like 2 years, and some other things happened. And I went back to doing manuals, and I know how to manual a bike. And I went back to it and I was just like, oh my gosh, I move so much slower. My frame of reference for how to get into the manual, I used to be able to just kind of muscle it and I would hang off the back and it'd be good. But then I realized oh my gosh, I have to really rely on my technique, and I have to do it faster than I think I do. So what you're gonna do is you're going to do what I call a standing spring, which is standing up tall and then drop the torso down ever so slightly and then smash hard, really fast through the feet, okay? So again, unless you are a trained BMX professional who has been riding for 40 years and you've got a full expression of range of motion and speed on the bike, you're going too slow. So what you need to do is you need to push the pedals down harder and faster than you think you need to. And what that's going to do is it's going to load the suspension front and rear of the bike. And so let's say this is the bike right here, or right here. Oh, right there, there's a bike. So let's say that we load both the front and the rear suspension of the bike. What's going to happen is the front wheel is going to pop up as a result of us pressing down on it. For those of you that are maybe a little bit older riders riding a hardtail, you're going to need to triple the strength and the speed going down, because there's only a little bit of rebound that you get from that front shock. If you're riding an e-bike, again, it's pressing down harder. The standing spring is really dependent, and the manual that you want to get out of this is dependent on how hard you press down. Now, once you've really loaded the suspension, it's a matter of just either sliding the hips straight back and hanging off of the bars. That's one technique, totally fine, and that just feels like this. Or what you can do is kind of push the bike down and away from you, and you'll end up standing up just a little bit. That's fine as well. All these ways get you there, but really what you need to do, the keys are, after you've gotten this pushed down, is while the bike is rebounding up, then the key is you want to hang off of the bars. So number one, I'm gonna show you this, guys. Number one is you wanna have long arms, gently relaxed elbows, so it kind of feels like if you're just pulling on your hand. And then number two is you want to make sure we're not reaching forward like this. So notice the scapula. If you're reaching forward and pulling your body weight back, this will keep, the front will just fall. What you want to do is actually have like a locked scapula, or the feeling of having a strong stance like this. And remember, exercise number one, the horse stance hold, you want to have that feeling of tension in the middle of the body, okay? So long spine, pulled arms back, and then right here, you're gonna be able to float the front up just like this, and it becomes a matter of balancing. Now, if you wanna know a little bit more about how to balance the manual, then you're gonna need to watch my other video. It goes a little bit more in depth. I don't cover covering the brake. So if you care about covering the brake, here's the tip. If you're about to fall backwards, tap the rear brake and it'll come down. Everyone complains about that. Anyways, that's it for how to manual. If you're over 40, you can do it, just don't neglect the body. And again, main mistake I see with the younger riders is they have terrible technique. The mistake I see with the more mature riders is that we actually don't have the body that we can count on to do the move to begin with. So work on the body, and remember, when you're doing the manual, long arms, shoulders back, tall spine, hang off just like we did in exercise number 2, and you'll be good to go. Hope you like this video. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.